We actually did do a little bit of walking on our knees at one stage.
Yeah, they did a lot of very technical things at first, green screens and puppets, even big puppets, to make us look smaller. But as time went on in the filming, we spent a lot of time just walking on our knees. So like the scene where Dom and I, after the Ents have invaded Isengard, and it's flooded before we find all the food and the pipe weed in the room. We are on our knees in a pool, just like a swimming pool that they built in a car park. And I remember because when Gandalf and everyone arrives and finds us there, they're all on their horses in this pool. And my sister was visiting from Scotland, and I thought, oh, this is great. She gets to see this scene with Gandalf and Legolas and Merry and everyone. And so we're doing this scene for a couple of hours with the horses and me and Dom. We're in our knees, so we're up to there in water. And I came out and I said to my sister, what do you think? It's pretty amazing, huh, all this? And she said, yeah. I said, but you know those horses, they're all pissing and shitting in that pool. And you and Dom are up to there. I never thought about that.
It's about the sacrifices that you make for our enjoyment and entertainment. Thank you. Elijah, you famously, we talked about the knee scene. So on the knee scenes, though, you probably didn't have to have the feet. Is that right? I know there were a lot of shots without the feet and with the feet.
Yes.
We preferred the shots without the feet. Why? What was with the feet?
Well, I mean, look, the feet required probably an extra hour and a half to our day, which meant that we'd be called in earlier. So it was an hour and a half less sleep that we would get. And it required us standing up, at 4:30 or 5 in the morning as they applied these latex rubber feet. So it was always better if they didn't show the feet. And it was actually Sean who was very good at sort of predicting when our feet would be filmed or not. And he'd look at our call time and go, oh, they're gonna put our feet on tomorrow. And he'd go to the first or second AD and say, look, you guys aren't gonna see our feet tomorrow. And they'd be haggling. Mostly he lost. Yeah. And we would have to eat it and get up early in the morning. It was pretty common that they weren't photographed, but it was that kind of thing of like, just in case. Yeah. Gotta have them on just in case, you never know.
So just brilliant filmmaking in general to show the different heights, which was, back to the question, with making Gandalf seem so large.
Well, my favorite stuff is the forced perspective.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, Gandalf and Frodo in Bag End Kitchen at a table that was partially Hobbit size and partially regular size for me. And it was a motion control camera, so when the camera would move, the perspective would change as would the table would move.
For sure.
Absolutely incredible. And of course Ian and I weren't looking at each other. We were looking at marks or tennis balls. But the effect was remarkable. Yeah. Just amazing. And to see that in camera was just incredible.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Those are our only choices, yeah?
Yeah. Can we move beyond those 3 choices?
Sure.
Thank you.
Yeah, makes it easier. I like a dauphinoise.
So, very fancy.
Potato cut horizontally, onions cut horizontally in a kind of oven dish with a little bit of cream, would you say? Maybe a little bit of garlic.
Like a scallop?
Maybe some butter, some white wine.
What would you do if they were cut vertically and then laid horizontally?
Unorthodox.
Deep thoughts.
I love French fries of all kinds. I like thick cut French fries that are basically just like chunky potatoes fried.
Freedom fries.
Well, let's not. And I also love like herb roasted, like oven roasted potatoes as well.
Yeah, I would go for a roast potato.
I love a roast potato.
With gravy, lots of salt, nice fluffy inside but crispy on the outside.
Crispy on the outside, yeah.
Covered in fat.
I feel like that's the right answer, everybody. All three of those.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for that.
Thank you.
Potatoes!
No, I can't do it. I can't do it. Yeah, you do.
How about a memory? What's so nice about seeing Sean?
We've said this story so many times, but my favourite Sean moment during the filming is where we were all, you know what's coming, right? We're all at the top of a mountain and they had to bring us down because weather was coming in, but they could only bring us down part way. And it was kind of a holding area halfway down the mountain, and then another helicopter would come. And myself, Billy and Elijah and Sean were all there, and we were probably there for a good 45 minutes waiting. And we were just having fun, messing about. And Sean seemed to think that it was a good idea to start directing helicopters. And we reminded him that probably those helicopters were on walkie-talkies and radios, but Sean wasn't having any of it, and he was doing all this.
I mean, literally, you guys.
Crazy.
They're on comms, like they are professionals.
So he thought he was like helping them.
Yeah,
He's not doing
he
it
did.
malicious. Yeah.
Safety is of a great concern to Sean.
Yeah.
And you know, he doesn't lightly put his own safety in the hands of others easily.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's why we love him. Another shout out to Sean Aston, everybody.
He's
Get well done, Sean.
Love it.
So, one of my favorite memories, because we had so much together, Sean. I mean, as the two of them had so much together, Sean and I were endless days together. And at a certain point, when you're, you know, in your 10th month of shooting, probably we did it earlier, you start to tire of catering. It's just, there's only so many new dishes, and it tends to just be a repetition after a while. So we would just start like, let's get sushi, can we have, and we would get these like chicken sandwiches that weren't particularly amazing, but it was just nice to have a chicken sandwich instead of something. So funny. That was our thing.
I love it. I love it. Thanks so much.
Yeah.
Hey, let's pop over here.
Billy said, which you guys might not see it immediately, but it's very cool with making the hobbits feel small, is when we come into the Prancing Pony in Brie, just as we're about to talk to Barley Butterman or whatever his name is, the landlord. Two people walk past us, and the hobbits kind of move backwards because these big humans are walking past, and then we move back in. And those big humans were oversized, big animatronic people. So when you look at their hands that are just in camera, kind of slightly moving, that's all remote controlled by some Weta operative off camera, and it worked really well. And then Pete just used it perfectly and then didn't use it again. So if you're ever watching Fellowship and you see us just getting into the Prancing Pony, you see two people walking past us, that's not real people, that's normal people in massive giant suits.
Wow.
Making themselves look big.
Which
So
the intention behind the bigatures was to use them more. And they ultimately found that particular application was the only way that it was going to work, and they just found that it wasn't going to be as effective after that.
Yeah, interesting.
And I think also because they found Tall Paul.
Right.
Because there was a guy then who was about 7 foot something, wasn't he?
It's really tall, yeah.
And he could dress up as any of the taller than Hobbit people.
Including Arwen.
Including Arwen.
Oh.
And Gandalf and Legolas. So they had big costumes made of all those characters. So if it was Mary standing next to Legolas, it would be Tall Paul in a Legolas costume. Or if it was me next to Arwen, it was Tall Paul.
That's awesome.
And even stuff like the Palantir, when Gandalf comes over, Tall Paul had really big hands. So compared to my face, you know what I mean? It made my face look like a button mushroom. I think. Yeah. But so, like, I think things like that came in and just made things easier. But yeah, Dom's right, in the bar, they had these bigatures which were amazing.
That's so cool.
And if you get, sorry to do another one, but this is my favourite, because I watched the trilogy for the first time in like 18 years over Thanksgiving, and I had not seen it in that time. And there's a great moment where the Fellowship is breaking at Amon Hen, and Boromir's tried to take the ring, and suddenly Aragorn kind of finds Frodo, and Frodo for a moment there thinks that Aragorn's coming to take the ring, and Frodo offers him the ring. Yeah, I swore to protect you. And Aragorn comes over, and it looks like he might be tempted to take the ring, but instead he closes Frodo's hand and tells him, you know, I would have gone with you to the very fires of Mordor. But as he closes Frodo's hand, you hear the ring say, Aragorn bless us. It's like whispered, Aragorn bless us. That's super, like creepy.
So I didn't realize, I looked it up and watched that clip, and fucking hey man, it is really disturbing. Someone would miss that.
Yeah. Thank you for your question.
This isn't from set, unfortunately, but it is, so it's not totally answering your question, but it did include the three of us, and we were together. We went to Japan to do one of the premieres, and in Japan they're very big on giving gifts. It's probably the place in the world where I've certainly received the most amount of gifts. Anyone who you see will give you a little keepsake, you know, even if it's just a little chocolate or just something, you know. And we were all going down this line, signing something. Elijah must have been given something and must have been asked to open it in front of the person who gave them the gift, because that's kind of the way that it's done in Japan. It's a bit rude to just take a gift and not open it. And somehow Elijah had opened the gift and got a little piece of the wrapping paper and the sellotape attached to his ear. And we then did a whole line of photos. And I didn't notice until halfway through. I said, Elijah, what's on your ear? He was like, oh. And I said, you got this? And I pulled it up and showed it to him, and he was like, where did that come from? I had a laughing fit. You know, I was like crying, laughing. And you can actually see photos of me on stage, and these two are just like posing and looking like movie stars, and I'm like leaning over. So, that was the funniest moment for me with these two.
Love it. Billy, any fun memories?
There was so many. I mean, it's so difficult to say.
Yeah.
It's like saying to you, you know, what was the funniest thing that happened in the last 4 years?
Yeah.
You know, it's so difficult because there's magical moments all the way through. So yeah, it's so hard to pick one.
Yeah.
There was a lot of laughs on set.
I think we experienced it back to the behind the scenes footage. It was so great that we got to see that stuff, your interactions and that fun that you had while filming. Elijah, anything stick out?
What's that?
Anything stick out to you, memory-wise?
I mean, I sort of echo what Billy said in that there were so many that it's difficult to kind of like pick out one thing. There is, I believe it's online, there's a blooper reel. That is available, right?
Yes.
You've seen this. The blooper reel is a really good indication of the atmosphere of making it. It was a really difficult series of movies to make, as you can imagine. And it took thousands of people's efforts to make it. And it was grueling work, but there was constant laughter and constant enjoyment and constant comedy. And honestly, a lot of that came from Peter. Peter was encouraged laughter and joviality, and amongst these two really brought that out in the two of them, and just encouraged it in general. And he's very funny, and his sense of humor is funny.
For sure.
I mean, there was a thing that he did with, oh fuck, it's great. I don't know if this is on the blooper reel, it might be, where it started to snow and it was effing up our shoot on that particular day. It wasn't scheduled to snow, it wasn't supposed to. And so he does this video, like impromptu, where he's talking about this incredible snow machine that they brought in and it's state of the art, and does this whole bit just off the cuff based on the scenario, like fuck it. And that's who he was, and that just extends.
Yeah, I love that.
You know?
I love that.
There's a lot of camaraderie. It was a big family.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Thank you. And shout out to Peter Jackson. My gosh, we haven't mentioned him yet.
Oh,
obviously, yeah.